As they do that, we'll just run through the start list here. Thank you, Brady. So we've had that 600 metres, and the timing of these intended to allow time for some paces to get into the main event, the 1500 later on. But this men's 800 metre A race, Ben Muston, Ben Maloney, Cam Burnett, Adam Pike and Charlie Hunter, Obsa Yusuf. In the inside of the track, Max Rosen, Lawson Fittler, Callum Burns, Luke Murphy, and Jack Lynch is doing the pacing duties. And here's the start of the second time of asking.
So away here in the men's A race 800 metres. So it's Muston, Maloney, Burnett, Hunter, Yusuf, Rosen, Fittler, Burns, Murphy and Jack Lynch on the outside for Sydney University to take up the pace. And you've got a bit of work to do here to get up in the two Sydney University pairs. So it's our pacemaker Jack Lynch and Obsa Yusuf leading the main group here. The Olympic semi-finalists over this distance in Tokyo. Charlie Hunter sits third. Ben Maloney trying to get a sit there as well. And also Luke Murphy right up there in a pretty good position at the moment as they head along the home straight for the first time. We'll see what they go through. And obviously the fastest in the field, theoretically, Charlie Hunter, but there's a couple of juniors in here who would really want to give this a run. Also, Yusuf's had a good start to his season as well, since they go through, Matt, in 51 high maybe.
And that's exactly what the pacer was asked for. He was asked to do 51.5. And the two athletes looking to get on the back of that train, Obsa Yusuf and Charlie Hunter in particular. And Charlie just a couple of days off the plane from the US, so we'll see what sort of shape he's in. Yusuf leads them up the back straight, and then you've got Hunter on his outside. A bit of a gap back then to Ben Maloney, the youngster from Trinity, and a few of the Central Performance boys tucking in behind them as well. But Yusuf will lead them at 200 metres to go. Charlie Hunter will be doing pacing duties a little bit later, boxing on his outside, but for the moment it's Yusuf from Hunter, Lawson Fittler in behind them. And they round into the straight now. Hunter will try to swing round Yusuf, who has a telling look over the shoulder perhaps. Hunter ranges up on his outside now. Yusuf trying to hang on, doing a pretty good job of it at the moment, but it's a battle of two. Hunter too strong in the end, picks up the win in the men's 800 metres, round about 150. But a fine performance from Obsa Yusuf to get on the back of the pace and hold Hunter off well into the straight.
Certainly did, and kept the pace honest as well. Took it out there, and in a couple of races' time, that last 200 metres, he might just have that extra little bit of kick in the legs. So really good running there by Charlie Hunter. He's looking to regain some of his 2021 form here into the back end of the 23-24 season. Obviously, Yusuf going from strength to strength, of course, in the men's 800 metre A race. So we will work through the lower graded races now and work our way in reverse. So the men's I race will be up next for the men, the 800 metres, but it's 2.5 hours of action that sees some of the best in the nation and in fact the world, and we'll take you through some of those key contenders later on tonight, particularly that men's and women's 1500 metre A race.
Yeah, so the main reasoning for this scheduling here was to allow the two key pacemakers for later on in 1500, Joe Deng and Charlie Hunter, pretty handy pace field, just quietly, pretty handy pacing duo, to get their races done early in the program and allow them to recover before they take out the paces.
3 and 5 are out.
For later on in the field tonight, but as we said, now into the graded 800 metre races, and they're being put into the hands of the starter for this men's I race.
So from the inside, we've got Jamie Gould wearing hip number 1 here. No, number 2, we've got Ryan Grogan in 3 for Balmain. Number 4, Finley O'Connell for Blue Mountains. In 6, James Harrison on his home track at Bankstown Sports. Gavin Dyball in 7 for Nowra. Grant Foley in 8. And Brad Sharp, a familiar face from UTS North, goes with hip number 9 in the men's I race 800 metres.
So off they go in the first of our graded 800 metre races here for the evening. Bruni's run you through the start list, and they're off and running pretty evenly away as they head around the back for the first time. And it's one of the Blue Mountains youngsters, Finley O'Connell, who's gone to the front of this field, and he's got a couple of his more seasoned competitors on his outside, Grant Foley of Run Crew and James Harrison, former World Cross Country representative, on his outside, and just slotting in now. One of the Nowra athletes, Gavin Dyball, who's done a lot of racing here at the Milers, sits in 3rd position now. And Foley of Run Crew just starting to get up onto the shoulder of young Finley O'Connell. But they're well and truly strung out here in the first of these graded 800 metre runs. A couple of the Masters boys going out at the back, Brad Sharp and James Harrison, as mentioned, the World Cross Country representative multiple times, and about 69 seconds through the bell, Brady.
Yeah, I reckon Harrison's got a bit of a second win here, but it's O'Connell, the youngster leading from Blue Mountains. Blue Mountains had a pretty good night. Obviously, Ian helping take the win in the first event of 600 metres, but the 2 Masters athletes in there as well. Gavin Dyball in a good position. He's pretty well placed here, so they move along the back straight. With also Grant Foley at the front of this field. He's just made his way to the front, and now in putting about 4 or 5 strides into the man who was leading at the bell, Finley O'Connell. He's got a 2:24, only 5 or 6 seconds separates the seed times of this entire field. And it's probably still a race in 4. Now we see Harrison start to wind it up with 200 metres to go, and I reckon he's still in with a very good chance of getting up to the front of this field. As they round the bend for the final time. The clock reads 2 minutes on the dot right now, with 100 metres to go in the men's I race. So if you're from Bankstown, give this man a bit of a round of applause, because he might actually get the challenge done here, because Grant Foley is coming along, and here comes James Harrison. Grant Foley put in a surge. Is it going to pay off? At the moment it is. James Harrison is giving it everything here. He's almost going to move there, but not quite get there with enough time. So Grant Foley takes the win. Great effort as well by Gavin Dyball, the youngster. Finley O'Connell back to Jamie Gould and Brad Sharp, with Ryan Grogan as well making his way down the straight. So very close racing here in the men's I race, and great to see the depth and the tactics on display here. Great race practice, particularly for a lot of these juniors. We've got state juniors in a couple of weeks' time, and what an opportunity to race athletes at a similar pace of different ages. What we love about these Milers formats. And the men's H race will be next up on the track.
Come on, guys. 1, 2, 3 and 4, you're in your own lane.
welcome to all those at home watching on our live stream. Cancel any plans or dinner reservations you had tonight because the next 2 hours is going to be nothing short of exceptional. And we're only just getting started. Good to see the big screen too, Matt, as well, in the infield.
No stone unturned, mate. Just getting word that Brendan Armstrong is out of this field. For anyone watching live, watching along at home, there's also the NSW Athletic Live platform. Head to the live results and the results section of the NSW website. You'll be able to see the live results as they come through straight from photo finish.
On your mark.
So as we run through the field here from the inside in this race, it is Ethan Tierney from Kembla Joggers in 1, Miles Elliott in 2 for Run Crew, Matthew Reid in 3 for Nowra, Billy Herb in 4 for Illawong, Khalil Ogle in 6 for Westfields, Nathaniel Brisbane in 7 for Kembla Joggers, Luke Murphy in 8 for Camden, Thomas Vedras in 9 for Knox Grammar, and Oliver Trowell in 10 for Sydney Athletics Academy. Billy Herb, the youngster, we've heard a lot about him, and here he goes to the front of this field. The taller figure there from Camden, Luke Murphy, gets up, and now the Sydney Athletics Academy athlete, Oliver Trowell, goes straight past them and puts a bit of distance, but quickly covering that move was Luke Murphy here, and he might actually challenge a move wide here. You can see on the big screen a great view of them as they work their way around that 200-metre bend. The Nowra athlete there, Matthew Reid, is in a pretty good place to strike as well into the top of the straight for the first time. They're moving very wide, and Khalil Ogle as well looks to make up a little bit of ground as they work towards the bell, but it's still the man from Camden, Luke Murphy. He's got a 2:15 seat time here, and Thomas Vedras moving well, and Nathaniel Brisbane from Kembla Joggers.
There's a few lining up behind him, isn't there, to have a crack, and it didn't take long for them to do just that with Nathaniel Brisbane of Kembla, as you called, Baroni, picking up the lead now as they head around the back, and he's opened up a sizable little gap already of about 20 metres or so. The best moves probably seem to be coming from Carly Ogle of Westfields and Matt Reid of Nowra, but they're well back now in this H race. Good to see the depth of 800-metre running here at the Milers all the way down to the I race in the men's. And as they sort themselves out, the battle at the moment is really on for the Miners, because young Nathaniel Brisbane has just taken off with 300 metres to run and put this race to bed. And he's going to have these covered as he comes into the straight and comes home to take out this H race under 2:10. He'll come home at about 2:07, and those in behind him running strongly. Carly Ogle of Westfields will be second over the line, but the whole field in just inside about 2:20.
It doesn't even look like he's puffing, Matt. Look at him. And I reckon he's, well, 2:15 we got on paper for him, and so about 7 or 8 seconds there quicker than that. Assuming that's his personal best, at least his season's best. So very, very strong run, particularly that second half. The others didn't slow down too much. He just put the hammer down, probably just before the bell. With about 4:30, he had a little bit to make up around the bend before he slotted himself into the lead position in lane 1, but just ran away with it from there. Quickly put 20 metres in, held that gate, and extended on it over the final 150 metres.
So we get through these 800s pretty quickly here at the Miles. Next one on the start list is the G race for the men here.
7, 8 and 10.
And with a couple of scratchings, the field here just about ready to go, and we'll introduce them to you as they get underway. So off they go in this H race, and from the inside out, Ava Hegeman, Xavier Zara, Chris Whiteley, Edwin Older, Ryan Lane, Casey Bray and Harrison Ferns. That's our field of 7 as they sort themselves out and get moving along here. And it's the Blue Mountains athlete Ryan Lane who's gone to the front of this field. along with one of the Hills youngsters, Harrison Ferns. 2:13 seed time for young Harrison. And they sort themselves out down the back straight into single file. It's also one of the Sydney Athletics Academy athletes who's Casey Bray, I think, 2:11 seed time for him. And that's your lead group of three as they come down the front straight for the first time. We're just outside 60 seconds through the first 400 here. And in fact, they go through around about 62.
Very smart move there by Casey Bray, moved himself around at the right time. The Blue Mountains have been on fire tonight in the first couple of races, and this one it's Ryan Lane, who is still in the hunt to try and chase down Casey Bray. I reckon he's got maybe another surge in him, and the young man from Hills District, Harrison Ferns, starting to pick up the leg speed now with 300 metres to go. So Sydney Athletics Academy find themselves in first and fourth position there as well. The young man in fourth, A.B. Hergeman, also just trying to keep that elastic band distance intact at the moment. And this young man from Hills, probably the most impressive over that back straight. Harrison Ferns, he's gone up to Ryan Lane and just past him. He's probably even closing here on our race leader, Ryan Lane of the Blue Mountains.
Bit of a move here late in the piece, further back in the field with Edwin Older, but all at the front, all one way with Casey Bray of Sydney Athletics Academy, who will come down and take it out. Again, just inside 2:10, you'd fancy. Very close. And the rest of the field coming up the line, they'll all get under 2:20. So nice running there in our
He will be
G
number
race.
11 in the F race. They went and put the wrong chest number on him, so I didn't pick him up.
Big finish by Edwin Older there as well. He came right around the end.
Yeah, looked very good with 150 to go. He's made that nice move with the tactical speed coming into the straight.
So much confidence goes into an 800 metres, particularly for these juniors, knowing when to go and how long they can hold it, taking that risk, and with every race just being a little bit more conditioning under your belt, being able to hold it for that little bit longer. And positioning so crucial. You can have all the finishing kick in the world, but if you're in the wrong position, not going to be able to use it. So we churn through these 800s. There's some hugely quality juniors in action as we continue. The next one is the men's F race. And we've got seed times here ranging from 2:05 through to 2:10. So again, a pretty tightly congested group. And who is going to be the most aggressive here as they go through their final warm-ups? We'll go through the field, the men's F race. So we've got Zach Thompson starting from the inside from Maitland. In 2, Daniel Schuton from Nepean District. In 3, William Wood from, you've guessed it, Blue Mountains again. Number 4, Jamin Gould, independent athlete. Number 5, Dylan Mortimer from Manly Warringah. In 6, Zane Graham of Run Crew. 7, Liam Crow from Randwick Botany. Owen Ramby in 8 for Mingara. Harley Grace in 9 for the Cherrybrook Club. And Illawong represented by Jerome Etteridge, starting with hip number 10. Cameron Baxter as well, I believe, is in this one too for Mingara Athletics Club. So that's the men's F race. Just about to be placed in the heads at the start here. The New South Wales Milers meet at the Crest. full moon tonight at the Crest. Does that mean anything?
Looks like nice conditions, doesn't it? I mean, let's try to get this underway, but it's shaping up perfect for about 9:30 when the main event's going to be going. A little warm, but the breeze should die down by then.
On your mark.
So away from the inside here. So it's Thompson, Shooten, Wood, Gould, Mortimer, Graham, Crow, Ramby, Grace, Etteridge. Baxter on the outside. It's fairly even at the moment. So moving quite well. Dylan Mortimer might get himself up now. Daniel Shooten just puts in a bit of a surge just before the crossover here and makes sure of his spot on the inside rail. And they're going to really make the others chase hard for it. Also coming across there on the outside, Harley Grace, and also on the inside of him on his left shoulder, Jamin Gould, the independent athlete. He's in a good position, but he's going to have to find himself somewhere a little bit closer to the rail. Also up there, Remy Botany, that's Liam Crow, in a pretty good position here, looking comfortable, but he's going to have to make his way up to the heels of our leading two. And the man who was most aggressive from about the 50 to 120 metre mark as they move wide. So it's Shooten leading into the straight. Dylan Mortimer off the back of him, and also Jamin Gould, the independent athlete, making a huge move around the outside as they hit the bell.
So a big bunch of them here still running together. And really anyone's race. You could still throw a blanket over this field. Very late in proceedings here with 300 to run. The move's now starting to come around the back straight. And it's the Manly Warringah athlete, Dylan Mortimer, who's shot up to the front. He's got Zane Graham of the All Blacks of run crew for company, and Jamin Gould in behind them as well. Darting out wide is William Wood of the Blue Mountains. And with 200 to go, that's your lead pack of four with about 92 seconds on the clock. Zane Graham, baseball cap on his home track, but running for run crew now to the front of the field, but the moves are coming in behind him as well. Led chiefly among them by the Blue Mountains, William Wood, who swings into the straight. And with 100 metres to go, 151 on the clock, moves coming still behind him. Harley Grace, a terrible prominent. Also Mortimer, but too good for them. And he'll hang on, young William Wood, with a nice move with a couple of 100 metres to run.
Event 7, no number 2.
So as we move out onto the women's E-race for the 800 metres. And the New South Wales Milers meet here at Bankstown. We've got Erin Grogan starting on the inside in number 1 for Balmain. Linda Scott wearing number 3 for West Track and Field. Emma Lucky in 4 for Trinity Athletics. Darcy Costello in 5 for Run Crew. Alana Roberts in 6 for Trinity. Liberty Blundell for Manly Warringah in 7. Kyra Cruz in 8 for Campbelltown. In 9 is Layla Burkhardt of Cherrybrook. And at Balmain represented by Alexandra Cropper in hip number 10.
I told you no number 2, didn't I?
So the common theme so far tonight in these 800-metre races, a lot of moves have come with just before they hit the bell. Some have paid off so far, some have been able to hold on for quite some time, but not able to have the strength right at the end. What can the girls do here in the race? The fastest C times here, Darcy Costello and Alana Roberts, staying in 5 and 6. All the usual suspects and the usual clubs represented in this field. You're great to see the depth in the women's as well. Must have a few hundred athletes here at least just competing. We're hoping that you do stick around, everyone, for the main events later on here tonight as well, as we're placed in the hands of the start.
On your mark.
So off they go in the first of our ladies' races of the night. And a pretty quick start on the outside from Liberty Blundell of Manly Warringah. And as they all get themselves organised and come up to the cross, still a pretty even line. And on the inside of the track in hip number 5, Darcy Costello of Run Crew gets her way to the front of the field as we get a bit of a breeze pick up here at the crest. Alana Roberts slots herself inside, and Erin Gorgon sits third in the run at the moment, but as is often the case in these graded 800-metre races, just getting strung out a bit at the moment. And Darcy Costello of Run Crew comes in with a seed time of 2:36, has around about 55 seconds on the clock as she sees the finishing straight for the first time. Gap of about 10 metres back to Alana Roberts, and then it's strung back out further again with Kyra Cruz of Campbelltown next in the run. About 70 seconds, 73.4 at the bell.
She's approached this pretty well here, Darcy Costello. The wind is swirling. She still looks like she's got another gear in her. And Alana Roberts as well. The main pack here being led by Belinda Scott. Now it's Alexandra Cropper moving around the outside. The Campbelltown athlete Kyra Cruz is also just trying to find some legs here with 350 metres to go. But Costello, she's on track for a pretty good time here if she's able to maintain the form. She's holding the same gap though to Alana Roberts. It's still around that 15-metre mark, and it's extending further to Belinda Scott, who still leads the charge in the chase group. They've got themselves into single file. No one is off the rail anymore. Maybe Alana Roberts just creeping up a little bit, but if it is, it's only a metre or so. There's nothing much in it here, and you can see a bit of a surge there by Darcy Costello, the Run Crew athlete, with 150 metres to go. 2:36 her seed time coming in. She's got 30 seconds to get to the line, which I think she'll do to get under that time. And she looks to, as the wind dies down here, she'll look to finish off strongly. Let's get behind these athletes here, everyone, because we are getting to the back end of the season. They are up for time, and we've got a big finish here from Alana Roberts coming through. Darcy Costello has one last ditch effort as Alana Roberts tries to move a level right on the line. I reckon she's got it, maybe just. Not quite at the angle to be the perfect judge on that, but
Yeah, she got it.
there you go. And a great finish as well by Emma Lukey to come through, with Kyra Cruz also having a pretty good last lap there as well for the Campbelltown club to come across the line in 4th place. But a brilliant finish by Alana Roberts from Trinity to come home and time it to perfection.
Yeah, got her on the line. It was a well-judged run. You thought Costello just surged a little with a couple of hundred to go, but Roberts had more in the tank in the straight, and some support for one of our youngsters coming over the line there, young Erin Grogan from Balmain. Love to see the youngsters out here at Milers. So we'll be trading between the men's and the women's now for the rest of these 800s. And we'll get into the 15s later on with a big field. 279 athletes competing here tonight at the Milers.
Is that a new record?
Which I think will be a record, yeah.
All here.
And all present and accounted for in this next 800-metre event. This will be the men's F race. And we'll introduce them to you once they get underway.
elusive 2-minute barrier for a lot of these athletes will be something that they'll be really trying to push for here tonight. 2:02, the quickest seed coming in this men's E-race. Tightly congested though, there's only 2 seconds between the whole field on paper. I expect a close battle right down to the line. Who's going to get out the most aggressive here?
Just be waiting for a photo here. Just spied a couple of handy athletes having a chat over there, Jake Whiteman and Yusuf Abdi. We've found each other.
On your mark.
Here we go. Off they go in the men's E-race here for the 800, all present and accounted for. And as they work their way around, we'll go through the field. Cooper Clugston, Jake Astill, Lachlan Fiend, Matt Harrigan, Leon McWillam, Ben Long, Thomas Shannon, Justin Brown, Paul Raptis and George Verco of the Scots College. So full field here. And as they work down the back, it's Paul Raptis in Sydney University colours now. The all whites getting up onto the shoulder of Tom Shannon of Cherrybrook, and they've got the Hills and Cherrybrook pair in behind them, and Campbelltown pair I should say, in behind them, with Justin Brown boxing in to a lovely position there, one out and one back, and he'll have plenty of racing room on his outside. Hooked on runnings, Leon McWillam just sitting in behind them, but you could still throw a blanket over this field as they come down to the bell, and this will be our first one sub 60 at the bell.
Yeah, right on 59 high, so they're just going to look to build it up from here. Raptis on the inside of Justin Brown there. The Cherrybrook man, Thomas Shannon, is in a really good place here. If he's got something rest, he's going to have to find an exit route though. The hooked on running athlete's looking quite good there as well. He's the fastest coming into this event with a 2:02 flat, Leon McWilliams. So we'll see if he can try and knock a couple of seconds. And the Camden man is also moving well. Cooper Clugston absolutely flying through as he opens up the stride. The leg speed's not super high, but he's just sort of grinding his way there to the front, almost alongside the Campbelltown man there in Justin Brown, who leads this field. So they've got... It's going to be a super tough ask to get under 2 minutes here. It's not completely out of the question, but it's going to take something super impressive as the Scots College athlete George Verco also moves himself into the picture, but it's Campbelltown at the front. We know they can sprint, they can run an 800 as well. Lachlan Fiend coming around the outside. Cooper Clugston in second. Campbelltown, will he hold on? Yes, he will. Justin Brown takes the win. Cooper Clugston in second, and a little bit of a subtle celebration there for Lachlan Fiend. He's happy with that one, coming across in third for Randwick Botany.
Nice racing there. Nice tactical display. And we're really starting to get into these graded races here. That was the men's E, and we'll be up to the women's D next. So starting to progress through this timetable.
3, 4, 9 and 10.
And introducing the field here for the women's D race for the 800 metres. Caitlin Roach starts on the inside for Sydney University in position number 1. Alicia Mustapik in 2 for Nowra Athletics Club. Then we go to hip number 5, Alexandra Bova of UTS North. Amelia Ullman, number 6 for Illawong. Hip number 7, Hannah Parker from Sydney University. Emerson Crabtree wears number 8 for Sutherland District. And that is your field for the women's D race.
On your mark.
So really good reaction time there by Alexandra Bova from UTS North, but from the inside, Roach, Mustapik, Bova, Ullman, Parker, Crabtree on the outside. And just on the outside there, Amelia Ullman is in a pretty good spot there. They're pretty even, and also Mustapik has got the benefit of the inside run here, and she's just held her nerve enough to get to the front, and it looks like it's where she wants to be at the moment as the others now start to go past her. So Alexandra Bova from UTS North getting a good sit on the outside there. Emerson Crabtree, you can see, also moving well. So it's Illawong and Sutherland at the moment, with Amelia Ullman driving this pace with Emerson Crabtree just holding herself back a little bit there. I reckon they've just slowed it down a fraction, let all the girls back into this one, and just biding their time at the moment and waiting for their right moment to strike. Much stiller conditions than what we saw in the previous couple of races, but it's still unchanged. Ullman on the inside of Crabtree. Then we go back to Bova. UTS North's back on the inside, so Mustapick of Nowra, and she looks strong on the inside there, and so does Emerson Crabtree, who may be starting to make a move as they go through 72.
Alex Bova looks very strong as well for UTS North. She's just on that lovely outside position with plenty of racing room, and she's gotten around the shoulder of Mustapick as they work their way around to the back. And still half a dozen, at least 5 in this race with a chance as they head up the back straight for the second time. Parker just working away to the outside for the All Whites of Sydney University, and still holding the rail is Ullman of Illawong. So the move's starting to come now. Bova makes the first of them with 200 to run and opens up a gap of about 5 metres or so onto Ullman, and dropping in behind them there is Stevens. So it's getting sorted out now with 120 to run, and said at the bell that she looks strong at the bell, Bova, and with 100 to run she still looks the best of them, although coming quickly behind her is Mustapick. Might just run out of straight here as Bova has enough to hang on, and she will hang on to take out this women's 800 metre D race, but a nice finish from Mustapick in a nicely judged race, and the Illawong athlete Ullman entitled just to tie up a bit in the last 200 after having done a lot of the work.
Certainly did do a lot of the work, but Bova the one with the closing speed, and talk about positioning and striking at the moment. Not hesitating as well. You can explode, some like to line it up and sort of gradually increase the tempo incrementally, and some just like to go for one surge and make it most explosive and unpredictable as possible. And Bova did put in a pretty lethal effort there to break the hearts of those behind her.
No number 10. Event 10, no 10.
So we'll talk about it more as we get about an hour and a half from now to the main event, but conditions are very, very favourable. A little bit of breeze around, but it's a lovely night for middle distance.
Always is at the Crest. I don't think I've been here where it hasn't been
On
perfect.
your mark.
So away they go in this C race, in D race, pardon me, for the men. So DePaulus, Matty Joyce, all the way down in the D race. That's a good sign of the strength of the 800s here tonight. Joyce is normally hunting around the B. McNally, Vidaic, Northsmith, Brearley, Barnes and Colbert. And position of prominence early is Oliver Vidiak, the in-state visitor, and sitting on his outside is Breasley. Happy to go very wide is Barnes of Ride, and he's just going to slot himself in there on the outside shoulder as they swing into the straight, Brony. They're sorting themselves out with Vidiak from Matt North.
There you go. So it is Vidiak who's looking quite comfortable there. You can just see how relaxed he is in the upper body. He might go soon, I reckon. And then it's Matt North, followed by Keris Zatanna Barnes of Ride. The two Ride boys there. Then it's Brearley, back to Sydney University athlete there, DePaulus, Matthew Joyce as well, the crowd favourite, who's starting to try and work his way into the running and move wide. But at the front of this field, Oliver Vidiak, we'll see what he's got over the final 300 metres. He's going to have the challenges from the Ride boys and also from Matt North from UTS North here. It looks like it's a group of 4, but I tell you what, there's 2 athletes in behind who I reckon you can give him a bit of a shake here. As we see move wide, Zatanna Barnes is the biggest mover so far. He's challenging and coming up to the outside shoulder of Vidiak. He's not quite past him yet, and Vidiak just goes again. He has another effort there. He's not giving up the fight. He's gone about 3 surges in this bend, And then it's Matt North from UTS North who moves out into lane 3 almost, puts the power down like he's running 100 metres and goes straight past them into the lead, puts a few strides in them. That's the best last 100 we've seen. And it was a great effort as well by the Date to try and get anywhere near him after that brilliant finishing kick. He didn't wait till the straight either. He actually took it around the bend, slingshot himself around. And that was a brilliant race and a great back end to it as well for the men's D race.
You're not wrong about the best last 100 we've seen. That was fantastic. 2:01.08 for Matt North with a 60-second even last close. So very even run, 800 metres. Dake second, about half a second back, and Oliver Smith third over the line for Ride, who actually had a really good last 200 metres. He looked great with 150 to go, Smith. And so they get themselves sorted out. That was certainly the best finish of the night we've seen from Matt North, and he called it well, Brady. He looked like a 100-metre sprinter coming down the front.
So front rower just charging through. And expect to see plenty more of that. Pretty impressive to get himself into that position, back himself as well over the last 100.
So we should have the women's 800 metre C race just getting themselves organised. We're well on time here, so for the main event, guys, looking at the timetable for later on, and for those watching at home, we are running on schedule, a couple of minutes early in fact. And the crowd starting to filter in as well.
Feels like the Bankstown Track Classic. Honestly, it's going to be, I reckon we're going to have a few hundred people here tonight, hopefully more, watching. And stick around because we've got high quality athletics. I don't know the long history. I know Victorian Milers get a lot of high quality athletes here, but definitely for the New South Wales Milers, this has got to be the best field we've seen.
It certainly is, yeah. I'd be interested to see that Vic Milers, obviously, the thing's most impressive about it is the size, and very frequently 400 odd athletes. We were talking earlier, 280 odd here tonight, which is a New South Wales Milers record. Obviously the New South Wales version much younger than a Victorian counterpart, but launched with our Victorian friends' blessing probably 5 years ago now. I really should know that, shouldn't I? But certainly that's the best men's metric mile field we've ever had here at the Milers, or indeed at an Albie Thomas, which will be on Easter Thursday. And
we're in for an incredible month of athletics coming up. Canberra Track Classic, start of March, and Sydney Track Classic. Don't forget to get your tickets for that. It's going to be an absolute cracking night as well at ES Marks. And only a few days later, less than a week later, is we're back here for the Albie Thomas Mile and some state championships in between. So huge schedule for these athletes, particularly those who are getting starts in the track classics. And so we've seen some brilliant meets so far, the Adelaide Invitational and the Maury Plant meet as well, with plenty of records. The middle distance events were some of the highlights. No doubt plenty of our juniors here inspired by the incredible quality we've got. The selectors are going to have such a tough decision for that Olympic team.
Three. Rather than just 4 on 5, if you want to do like 3, 3, 2. So not far away from the start here in the women's 800 metre C race, and we'll introduce them to you as they get underway.
On your mark.
So off they go, we're getting through them now, and Bronte Clark of Camden, Isabel Chudley, Sydney Athletics Academy, Charlotte Smith, Amber Cassano, Emma Whedon, Ella Plummer and Brooke Carson, both of Sutherland District, Julia Meeker of Balmain, Rudy Blackley of Randwick Botany, and Larissa Gromer of Camden. And very even at the break, a lovely shot up the back straight, and a great indicator of how still the trees are behind as to the sort of conditions we're getting here tonight. Perfect for the middle distance events. And straight to the front of the field is Isabel Chudley of Sydney Athletics Academy, but you could throw a blanket over this field early doors, Brony.
Sure, and for probably longer than what we've seen in the other races, they were still in lane 3 when they were going through almost a 200 metre mark there, so very congested, probably the most tightly bunched, 7 or 8 metres between first and last in this race, the Women's C. Isabel Chudley still holds the lead on the inside, Ella Plummer there of Sutherland also looking quite good, and they're still bunch and moving really wide. The widest of them there, we got Julian Meeker, and even wider than her is Rudy Blackley through here, but it's still Chudley. Now on the outside, Julian Meeker making her move, tracking her really well is Rudy Blackley of Randwick Botany, moving almost still into lane 3. It is really anyone's race here, Matt.
Blackley was happy to run so wide, and you can see why. She's just gone straight to the front of the field for Randwick Botany, but she's got some company in behind her. And Julia Meeker of Balmain, the best of those. Look how wide in the run is Brooke Carson of Sutherland. As you said, Brady, almost out in lane 3, and this is up the back straight for the last time. So they're going all the way out. Bronte Clark of Camden getting in behind her as well. There's still the entire field in this race with 200 to run.
Yep, and it is Ella Plummer who's now for the first time made the move and really started to challenge Rudy Blackley. We know how lethal her surge was last lap, and she's still got another gear left with her, and we're still congested. 1 of 5 will win this, I reckon, or maybe even 6 are in with a shot with 100 metres to go. On the inside, it's Blackley, and it's Ella Plummer here from Sutherland, who's pushing away. Brilliant form under pressure, under fatigue, under hurt, and she's put 5 or 6 metres into him in the last 50. And she goes about 2:18 thereabouts. We'll get the official time shortly. That was a great run by the Sutherland athlete. Randwick Botany in second with Blackley. Emma Whedon was right up there as well for West Track and Field in the women's C 800 metres.
Well, after not being able to separate them for 700 metres, Ella Plummer just shot to the front of the field and made all the running in the last 100 and managed to get the win. 2:18.76 official, and Rudy Blackley confirmed as second, and Emma Whedon over the line in third, both 2:19. So
it's
real
just
tactical affair, that one.
It just goes to show as well, once the standard goes up at the top, the second tier standard goes up as well. We've got so many juniors around that sort of 2:20 mark or under, and only 3 and a bit seconds, separating all the times in that one, and it's no different in this one. In fact, it's a second between the fastest and the slowest qualifier in the men's C race in the 800 metres. And we've got Prem Hegeman from Sydney Athletics Academy in 1, Charlie Bertel of UTS North in 2, Ethan Littlewood from Campbelltown in 3. We've got a few Campbelltown here tonight. Toby Dyball in 4 from Nowra, Idris Burkhardt of Cherrybrook in 5. And we've got Riley Gould, independent athlete, wearing hip number 7, Jake Hardiman, Sydney University in 8, and Randwick Botany's Jack Richardson in 9 for Randwick Botany. So we expect this to be under 2 minutes, unless it is a super tactical race, as we're just about ready to place them in the hands of the start.
On your mark.
So away here, who's going to be the most aggressive early? It's pretty even at the moment, with Prem Hegeman on the inside, Bertel, Littlewood, Dyball, Burkhardt, Gould, Hardiman and Richardson, as we see them really try and push up, and there's few aggressors in this field here as they move their way. Ethan Littlewood's in a pretty good spot as they merge across. Some just taking their time to get across, but it's Charlie Botel of UTS North on the inside of Ethan Littlewood. They're going to be your 2 leaders through the 200 metres here. Riley Gould, the independent athlete, also wants a piece of the action. He's moving wide, desperate to get to the front of this field and take some control back, but Botel's got it at the front at the moment as he starts to string them out just a fraction, but not too much at the moment.
It's a similar story to the last race, isn't it? They're happy to go very wide to stay prominent here, and you can see Jack Richardson of Randwick Botany, who's almost last in the field, but actually just sitting on the back of Gould, and actually in a pretty good position here as they go through the bell sub 60, so the sub 2 minutes that Brenny spoke about is on here, all being controlled at the front by Charlie Boutel, and he's starting to get some company now. They're not going to muck around and wait for the last 100 metres here. They are on it from the outset. And it's Sydney University's Jack Hardiman who's put himself into the lead up the back straight. Ethan Littlewood of Campbelltown is the only one now out of the order of the single file. And he's going to try and make the move with 200 to go. Gets up onto the shoulder of Hardiman. And Littlewood looks the main danger at the moment with the early leader, Bowtell, just starting to fade a little bit.
Yeah, so Hardiman, as soon as that bell went, he just went boom. And we'll see if it's able to pay off here. Tell you what, it's going to be a really good effort if we're able to see someone come over the top here. And the man from Campbelltown, he's not giving up the fight, Ethan Littlewood, but Sydney University is going to take this one out. Jake Hardiman grinds to the line, does a great job there. Ethan Littlewood, what about the battle for third here? I couldn't pick that. UTS North's maybe Charlie Botel. It was either him or Jack Richardson there. Graham McBotney, incredible run. Very close towards the line, pushing each other through to some quick times and some confidence boosters as well, blowing the cobwebs out. Some of them might not have even raced this year yet. Maybe before Christmas was their last race, so great to blow out the cobwebs before the State Junior Championships. And as we said, there's not many missing. We're talking about the state's best juniors. I can't imagine there'd be too many missing here.
Well, not far out from the State Junior Championships, as you said, Brony, so they're getting themselves these last head-outs before they go into the state title. So Jack Hardiman, one. What the hell? Lost power. Apologies for those watching on the stream. We just lost power for a moment, but it should all be back to normal now. And just getting ready to go here in our men's 800 metre B race. So this should be an absolute cracker. Benjamin Crowe of Randwick Botany, Riley Klein of the Newcastle Flyers on his outside, Joel Wood, also Nova Castrian making the trip down the F3, Jack Gould on his outside in for Zach Broom, James Healy of Kembla Joggers, Ed Kubrick of UTS North, Anthony Dubust, independent athlete, Asher Thomasu of Randwick Botany, and Matt McLaughlin of Trinity. That's the field for this 800B race.
153, probably the time they'll be looking for here, maybe even quicker.
No, number 5.
So just the one scratching from this field. Zach Room, hooked on running, is a non-starter, but otherwise they are all present and accounted for this men's 800 metre B race.
Standing behind your marks, gents. On your mark.
Promises to be a cracker, this one. The B races here have always produced some fabulous racing at the Milers, and you wouldn't expect this to be any exception. And a pretty fast start on the outside from young Matt McLaughlin of Trinity. Comes in with a 1:58 seed time. Not one of the quicker seed times, but keen to be prominent early. And over on the inside, Jack Gould from the ACT. Looks like he's put himself up in a nice position. And in fact, he skipped out to a lead of a couple of metres over Ed Purbrick. And then the Nova Castrians in behind him. But as they sort themselves out with 500 to run, not like the last couple of races we've watched, Brony, there's a clear leading pair in this one.
Yeah, normally in the B races there's more determination to try and get after time here and keep the pace honest, which is what we're seeing right now. As we see, Jack Gould will lead through. Purbrick has made himself up to the hills, and McLaughlin has his sights set on Purbrick, and Purbrick will go again. Kembla Joggers there, that's James Healy. He's leading the chase group here, but it's our two out in front in Jack Gould and also Ed Purbrick there, who are flying at the front, and McLaughlin has worked his way up in contention with 250 metres to go as Purbrick really starts to turn on the afterburners. He's looking good. He's looking really light off the ground here. 125 as he goes towards the line.
I mentioned McLaughlin looked prominent early, but he's coming into the race late in the piece now as well. And he looks the main danger here as they swing him with 120 to run. It's still Purbrick.
I want to know where the split is between the A line and the B line.
But McLaughlin is the biggest gap at the moment, and a fast finish on the outside as well from Jack Gould, the early leader. But they're not going to get the better of Purbrick, and he'll come home and take the win in the men's 800 metre B race, about 156, 157, and this whole field will come in just over 2 minutes. Nice racing there in the 800 B race.
In the main 1500, where do you want us to split between the front line and the back line?
So 14 is the lowest.
No, that's all I needed to know. Front line's up to 14.
Well, it'll now be obviously Yusuf's the other pacer, so he needs to go on the front.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Deng's out, pacing, he's
Yeah.
back. Obviously Yusuf's going to replace him.
Yeah.
So up to 14, there now won't be a 14 because Deng's out.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yusuf replaces him, everyone else on the back line, and I've already spoken to them, they know.
Okay, thank you very much for doing that. Do you want me to go?
1500, come back this side now, yeah. I really need a producer for Elby. So that's the last of our graded 800 metres, and into the 15s now, and again a sign of the depth. We're all the way down to the F race in the men's. And on the women's side, we'll be down to the C race. So still plenty of racing to come before we get to the main events of the evening, which will be the women's men's 15 and also the women's 8 for good measure, which is actually a very strong field as well. While we're doing this, might just have a look at the fields for a bit later on. And that's our start list for the main event, the men's 1500. We've been talking about it earlier. Brainy, you're not going to find much better race than that domestically in Australia.
Yeah, as far as in the men's 1500, as far as do have a big field. We've got 2 lines of athletes here. We have a couple of pacemakers to try and ensure the athletes who've come here, they've come here with a purpose and try and get that objective. So as far as the New South Wales athletes go, you've got Remick Botany and Bankstown very well represented. Paul Robinson of Ireland in there as well. Ben Thomas is definitely one to watch. Stephen Music had an impressive run at the state 5K, and Ethan White-Smith did win that race. Matthew Ramsden, of course, from Western Australia, we know that name. And what quality he's got so much international experience and a great addition. He's been here at the Albie Thomas as well in that cracking race with Ryan Gregson in the Australian Mile Championship. I think the first one. The first one there as well. And of course, Connor Whiteley, who's had some pretty strong domestic results so far. Harry McGill, Charlie Hunter doing.
Yeah, so there's just been a late change to the pacing. Joe Deng hasn't pulled up well from that 600, and so obviously Yusuf is going to put his hand up and do the pacing, the first of the pacing duties, and then Charlie Hunter will take them as far as he can. But when you've got an athlete of the pedigree of Charlie Hunter doing your pace work for you, that's a pretty nice setup to try and get after that Olympic qualifier.
And don't forget Callum Davies as well, national champion. It's hard to think with all this depth we've got, and Callum is the current champion of Australia over this distance.
And what a win that was in Brisbane. I was up there for that race.
It was one of the best races of the
outstanding race.
And of course, the man of the moment, and we're very privileged to have him here at the Crest, is Jake Whiteman. The world champion from 2022 had a cracking race with Stewie McSwain at the Maury Plant Meet as well, and he's still in Australia, still in Sydney, and of course, definitely looking to get a great one here. And Cameron Myers, well, if you haven't heard of that name, you are living under a rock, because this young man is setting the world alight. The way he races as well, how confident he is, and we are very excited to see him run in one of Australia's fastest ever. He's already got a couple of Australian junior records, but Cam Myers, he's got some Diamond League starts, and one of a few athletes as well who are going to have the tough battle, or the tough decision to make whether they get World Under-20 Championships or Olympic Games, or both. And there's a few athletes in this position, Claudia Hollingsworth being one of them from Maury Plant Meet, and a few others as well. So this men's 1500 metre field, we're looking forward to that, but we're still about an hour away, so the first of our graded races will be not far away, and probably about 5 minutes time we'll get that underway. So a slight break in the program as we have a look at the women's field. In the 800 metres, another cracking lineup here.
Yeah, so this is a really strong field. I'm fascinated to see how Matilda Ryan goes in this. She's a 2-time winner of the 800 metres on Albie Thomas night. One of her favourite nights of racing, and she's done very, very well at the meet over the years, and a great chance for her here to have a pre-Albie Thomas hit out, which will be about a month from now on this track, in that perfect sort of 10-day period, 17-day period, pardon me, before the Australian Championships. But a deep field here as well, with a lot of the talented junior talent, as you were mentioning earlier, Brady.
Yeah, certainly very strong represent. 3 from Sutherland, and we've got 2 from Athletics Wollongong in there as well. So, and 2 from UTS North. So those 3 big clumps. Fleur Cooper, of course, she was a bronze medalist at the Albie Thomas Mile National Championship, and that was probably one of her breakthrough runs as well in amongst some more experienced athletes, and getting a taste of what it's like to not just race juniors. And Matilda Ryan, as you said, Laura Roth's always competitive, we know that, and Davina Smith's been around some time. Tisa Buchanan is another one to watch. Tia Brady, the Newcastle runners. It is a great field and a pretty close matchup as well. No clear favourite, no clear top 3 if we had to pick it in the women's 800 metres.
That's in the field for the women's 1500, and particularly interested to see how Laura Roff and Jayla Hancock-Cameron go. Hancock-Cameron had a masterful 800 metre performance recently in Adelaide. Yeah, ran 2:02.
When she moved around with 150 to go, I honestly thought, I'm like, gee, she's going to get up there.
Yeah.
Just didn't quite have it over the final 100 metres, but she put herself in the right place, and that's half the battle here. Just having that final stamina. If you're able to be in the position in the hunt, in the contest, when you get to the home straight, then that is definitely the place to be. And only experience will get you up with some of the high quality we've got in this 800 metres. And again, we've got so many who have to force to make that decision between the 8 and the 15.
Yeah, it's a wonderful position Australian middle distance is in at the moment, where there's a very real prospect where we'll have 3 qualifiers and fill the team for both the 8 and the 1500 metres in the women's.
Because when they look at those world rankings as well, obviously a lot of emphasis now on those Olympic qualifying positions from the world rankings points. There'll be a lot of athletes taken out of that because they've run 800s, but they're going to be running 1500 at the Olympic Games and not in the 800. So that roll down process, just because they're not within the quota at the moment, and if you want to find out who is sitting in the quota, there's some really good information on the Road to Paris. So if you Google World Athletics Road to Paris, and you can see who is sitting where in any event. You can filter it by nation, by event group, because those qualifying times are so difficult to make. And the men's 1500 is probably the one that we've actually got the most under the qualifying time. There's a lot of events we haven't got anyone under the time. I think we've got 3 under the standard at the moment.
Yeah, so the Road to Paris, if you like, as you mentioned, Bernie, it's what's called on the World Athletics website. So if you just Google Road to Paris, you'll find it. And the men's 1500 metres, so the qualification window for all of these qualifying standards for the Olympic Games opened on the 1st of July last year. So there's a number of athletes who have it from the World Championships in Budapest last year, which were within the qualification period. So in Australia, we already have 3 who are there on qualifying standard.
But there's notable names missing.
And indeed,
like the Commonwealth champion.
Indeed. So right at the moment, Stewie McSwain with a 3:31 set in at the London Diamond League last year. Adam Spencer with a 3:31 set in the same race. And Cam Myers, of course, with his 3:33 in Poland set in July last year. But all those standards set in July last year, so in the first month of the qualification window. And as you say, when we get the likes of Ollie Hoare, Jai Edwards coming back in the race, and anyone else that might hit the standard, we've got the running Australian champion going around tonight, who currently sits 5th in the order of Australian rankings, 80th in the world. We could well have half a dozen guys under this qualifying standard. So you can forget world rankings; they're going to be completely irrelevant.
And I don't think they can be picked. Is that right? If they're not within that quota position.
That's right.
It's the rollout. So
that's right. And so the standard we're looking for is 3:33.5 or a 3:50.4 mile. One of the recent indications of World Athletics to allow qualifying for the 1500 from both the mile and the 1500 in the good initiative, the welcome return of the mile. But this men's 1500 is likely to be a very competitive event for qualification, and they'll certainly all be going in on standards. Now, the main reason for between 2 world champions attendance tonight is that he doesn't have that standard, having taken last year off. So he'll be looking to get that marker on the board before he leaves Australia. But we're just about right to go for the first of our graded 1500 metre races before we get too excited. And this is the men's F race, which is just getting sorted out on the far side of the track. Marcus Keys, Zachary Lachlan, Hugo Conadell, Pete Costello, Xavier Hard, Archie Herb, Christopher Whiteley, Luke Gibbons, Xavier Wilson, Nick Woodhouse, Koji Howard, Charlie Neat, Archie Daly, James E and Anthony Down. So a big field of 15 here to contest this men's F race, 1500. Another great sign of the depth here at this evening's Milers, getting down that far in the grading. Just some final instructions from starter Murray Gordon, and a lovely shot up the back straight there.
Georgie. Go into like 4, mate.
So just about right to go now for a start in the F race. So away they go, lovely shot up the back, and you can expect this one as the lowest grade race to probably string out a bit. And a quick start on the inside from young Marcus Keys of the Scots College, and he's used his pole position barrier draw to put himself up into a position of prominence early. He's got Luke Gibbons, who's made the trip in from Adamstown to put himself second in the run. And good to see a pretty solid pack here forming at the start and shooting out very wide in the run is young Xavier Wilson of Wollongong. He's got Nick Woodhouse of Ride for company, but Wilson going to run all the way out in lane number 3, and another one that's going to go all the way around him is Hugo Cunnemel of Randwick Botany. But big pack here as they run up towards the first 400 metres. They're probably about 70 seconds or so through that mark.
Yeah, so Keys content just to sit in now. He's an aggressive racer. He always does that, goes to the front. Now he's just wanting to sit in. The Randwick Botany boys, Hugo Cardinal, who you mentioned, who moves the widest along the home straight for the first time, him. And Charles Neat right up there as well, the fastest of the seed times with a 4:29. So we're looking at a 1:12 lap pace to be amongst the quickest of these seed times, and hopefully a few personal best times will go down tonight. But Luke Gibbons from Adamstown, New Lambton, leads this field with Archie Daly, it is, my apologies, from Randwick Botany, who's got himself right up there in second. Maybe just a lead pack starting to form. There's a couple off the back, not quite tightly bunched there, but I reckon they could get moving if they would just lean forward and press up a little bit here. But still Gibbons happy to take the lead on the outside. Daly just loping along, looking comfortable at the moment. He's very relaxed. Back on the inside, Marcus Keys getting plenty of coverage here. To his right shoulder is Charlie Neat from Randwick Botany.
So I'll see 2 laps on the boards now, and about 2:07 as they went through. So very solid tempo here for what is an F race in the men's 1500, and they're going to swing around now through 800 metres in about 2:30, about 2:27, something like that. So it gives you a good idea of the pace in this race. A couple of moves now starting to come down the back with Chris Whiteley of Cherrybrook happy to go wide, and our early leader Marcus Keys of the Scots College happy to get up onto the shoulder of Daly as they run through 600 metres to run. But a clear lead pack of 3 now has sorted itself out with Keys, Daly and Neat. So the 2 Randwick athletes sandwiching Keys of the Scots College, and the only one who looks like he might be able to cross the bridge is Cherrybrook's Chris Whiteley.
Yeah, so Marcus Keys, probably on paper, 5 or 6 seconds slower than these boys, but he's getting a really good drag along here from our race leader Archie Daly as they go through to collect the bell, with Marcus Keys really looking like he wants to surge. He's just trying to be patient. I think he wanted to go, but he's like, no, I'm going to wait a little bit longer here. That Cherrybrook athlete, Christopher Whiteley, he's still looking quite good as well. The back of Charles Needheat, and now I reckon the man from Scots might go. If he doesn't go now, he's going to go soon. There we go. So he's made his move to the right shoulder, but he's held him well here, Archie Daly. And they're running side by side along the home straight, so Marcus Keys couldn't quite get past him. He's still trying to get past him, maybe just edging forward again. And will he close it off? He will. He'll go straight to the rail. Now it'll be up to Daly to respond here and move wide. When is the question? Will he move wide and slingshot himself into the straight? He's starting to make his run now. It's going to be a great last 100, ladies and gentlemen. Let's bring him home. This is the men's F race. 1,500 metres here tonight to set the scene for what's to come. And the Randwick Botany man, he will deserve this if he does get it. It's not done yet, but Archie Daly closes and just holds off. A terrific run by Marcus Keys, and that I think will be a new personal best by a few seconds by both those boys, maybe even more from Marcus Keys, with a big finish here by the man from Southern, Anthony Downs. Ooh, Not sure if he got Nick Woodhouse quite on the line. It'll be close between those two. Well under 4:40 on the clock in the men's F race, 1500. It's under 4:40, well under 4:25 to win the F race. Plenty of
It's
depth.
the depth, isn't it? And the whole field's going to be in under 5 minutes, which is a source of depression for some of us.
What would you go tonight, Matt, if you're...
I think it'd have a 6 in front of it, mate. But that's why I'm behind a microphone and not on the track. As we start to power through these 1500 races, so we'll have the men's E and the men's D before we get into the first of our women's 1500 events. He did run the 800. And pardon me, we just had another of our finishers there in the F race. Good to see him out there.
Zachary Lachlan.
Yeah, Zach Lachlan from Westfield. Well done to him. So not far away from the start now in the men's E race. We'll run through them while they're getting organised. Bryn Darby, Jude Hamilton, Kobe Stewart, Jasper Budd, Alice Hayden, Phil Batonis, Gerard White-Smith, Harley Grace, Cristiano Calcaro, Aston Lake, Nathaniel Brisbane backing up from the 800, Chris Gatt, Isaac Robertson, Oscar Turnbull, Lorenzo Panessa and Sam Oliver of Trinity. So another big field here of 16 in the men's E race.
So we know how important this start is, but not burning too many biggies too early, and you can see a couple really content just to wait and sit back. Another Scots College athlete we got in this race as well for the men's E. So Ellis Hayden in a pretty good position early, but the best of them out is Samuel Oliver from Trinity Athletics. As we see, we're starting to string out a little bit more here. So 4:18, 4:19 is probably the tempo we're looking for, maybe trying to get under that. The fastest seed times coming around that range as they come into the home straight for the first time. It is our man from Trinity, Samuel Oliver, leading, and they're moving into lane number 4. Jasper Rudd is sitting second and sitting nicely there. Cristiano Calcaro of West Track and Field is on the outside of Ellis Hayden of the Scots College, but it's Trinity, back to Jasper Budd, and then it's Cristiano Calcaro, all looking good in the early stages.
Getting themselves organised, not quite single file. There's a couple of pairs running together like the arc, but they have gotten themselves organised, and just as I say that, we end up 4 or 5 or 6 wide as they go down the back straight for the second time. The widest of them is young Kobe Stewart of Trinity, who's got Nathaniel Brisbane backing up from the 800 in front of him, and Brisbane now actually goes to the front of the field along with Ellis Hayden of Scots. So a few moves down that back straight for the second time.
Brisbane was so impressive in that 800 metres here, so we'll see what he's got in the legs. He still looks like he's full of running here. He's in the whites to the right shoulder of Ellis Hayden of Scots. He might even challenge for the lead here as they move along the home straight.
Phil Batonis of Westfield, just again another example of athletes going wide. He's getting around the shoulder of Christian Calcaro of Wests, but they're in the outside of lane 2 as they come down here with 800 to run.
Good to see Kobe Stewart. He's tucked in and looking like he's running with confidence as well. Another man from Trinity here, one of a couple in this race, but Nathaniel Brisbane from Kembla Joggers has just injected a little bit more pace into this one as they go through the 800 metres. It was about 2:18 through that 800 metre mark here. As we see Kobe Stewart put in a surge, he did that really efficiently too. Doesn't look like, well, it does look like he's got another one left as he moves his way up to the heels of Brisbane here. It's a gap between him and the Scots College athlete as the gaps start to appear a little bit more. So the moment it's the race between Kembla Joggers, Trinity, Brisbane and Stewart as 15 metres opens up behind those two at the front.
So 500 to go. They'll see a very welcome 1 on the boards in front of them as they go down. And a race of 2 out the front. Brisbane backing up from that 800. And he's got Stewart for company, and they've gapped the rest of the field by about 15 metres or so. The best move in behind them coming from Phil Batonis.
Phil Batonis, yeah, and also Bryn Darby as well. Great to see him mixing it with these boys here. Really cracking race here with 300 metres to go. Brisbane, and now Stewart goes boom, put the foot down. Brisbane trying to respond. He tries to lean forward here. We got the Westfield athlete, Matt, you said before, Phil Batonis, a 4.19 seed for him. A couple of late charges coming in behind, but at the moment it's Kobe Stewart going for broke. He still has to work hard here to make sure of this one. But this last 300 metres is going to be something exceptional if he can hold this leg speed through to the line. Philip Batonis is getting closer to Brisbane, moving around the shoulder and challenging for second, hunting down our leader here in Kobe Stewart from Trinity as he works towards the line. They might be trying to get a little bit closer here, and Philip Batonis having a terrific last 100 metres. Will Stewart hang on? Will he? I don't know. I reckon he might have
Just hung on, I reckon. But gee, it was close. And some sort of finish got the crowd out of their seats.
Well, I think a few people dropped their sausage sandwich watching that. Incredible last 100 metres.
Phil Batonis got him. Batonis got him. 4:14.82.
Oh, wow.
Kobe Stewart. Just let me make sure I'm reading this right.
8
unable to be separated to the 100th. Phil Batonis, 4:14.812 to Kobe Stewart's 4:14.820. So 8 thousandths of a second separating Batonis and Stewart.
That'll bring the crowds back. They're already here.
Still feeling a bit sore. Didn't expect you to be here tonight. You just thought you'd come, just for the...
I get nervous when people start talking about worlds and qualifying and stuff. I just want to make sure it's going right.
Fair enough.
What is the time?
3:33.5. 3:33.5.
Alright, so let's see if we can work out a live clock on screen there. Those playing along at home.
Is there anything now?
So off they go in the next of our track races here, and it looks like they've got that clock managing to tick along. So that should be a live clock now, just as I lose it. We'll get that fixed up. There we go. So, just sorting themselves out in the run now. And at the front of the field, we have Chris Gatt, at the front of the field we have Maximilian Boomkamp, who for mine still has the best name in New South Wales athletics. And he's got the front of this field sorted out from Nick McGill of Nowra.
Joel Huller right up there as well. Harrison Boyne in a good position there for Newcastle Flyers. Made a good move there. He's still He's tucked in well, and they haven't quite got themselves sorted out yet at the moment. But Maximilian Boomkamp in the very clear and distinct orange and white of Hornsby District is at the front of this race, and Harrison Boyne of Newcastle Flyers in a great position at the moment, 1 minute and 20 seconds through this race, and also in a good place at the moment and ready to strike when he wants to is Nicholas McGill from Nowra Athletics Club here. But a great lineup for this men's D race. So we're getting down into the sub 4:10 range with the quickest seed, Brodie Elborn, I believe, with a 4:06 coming in, the Remick Botany athlete. But they're moving out again into lane at number 3.
Yes. Look how wide these guys are. Joel Harler of Bankstown all the way on the outside of lane 2. He's got Harrison Boyne for company in behind them. And this live clock on screen now, 1:54 through the 700 metres with a couple of laps to run. And they were 45 through the first 300. So we'll start to get some splits through here as they work their way around through the 800 metres, and they're going to be about 2:12 as they run through the 800 and still getting themselves sorted out down the back. But taking up the running is Nick McGill, and look how wide some of these athletes are coming. Lincoln Judge have run through the widest of them up the back.
Yeah, Lincoln Judge made a good move. He was pretty well placed through the last time we saw him come through the finish line. Brodie Elborn as well was good for mine as he works his way through here as well. And the Sutherland man there as well, Lachlan Wheeler, who's very prominent in his age group in junior racing, hanging tough and right in the thick of it, right in the mix of this main group at the front. But it's the man from Nowra, the front of this field, Nicholas McGill, 4:11 he's coming to this event with. We'll see how quickly he can close. Harrison Boyne just behind him. Joel Harler on the inside as well. He is not giving them an inch. He's muscling his way through Brodie Elborn, and I reckon if it's going to come down to it, and he positions himself well over the last 300, he is definitely one to watch. But it is McGill at the front at the moment, with Harrison Boyne still looking ominous here. The man from Bankstown, Harler, right up there. The man from Remick Botany, as we said, is still in the mix.
So they were 66 last time around, and they're lining up to have a crack here down the back straight for the last time. Joel Harler looks to be the biggest threat at the moment, but Nick McGill has got himself a lead of about 10 metres or so. And as they work their way around into the straight for the last time, McGill looks to have a lead that may well be unassailable, albeit we've seen some guys comes from the clouds already tonight. But McGill doesn't look to be fading late. The biggest finish probably coming from Brodie Elborn of Remick Botany, and he'll get around the shoulder of Harler. But there's no stopping McGill. He's going to take out the men's D race here in the 800. Closes in the 15, closes nicely, 4:04. So we're getting right up to that sub 4 minute mark, and we're already only in the D race.
Huge finish from Lachlan Wheeler as well there for Sutherland. Plenty of quite young juniors, and a lot of them wouldn't have had a lot of experience racing people outside of their age group. And that's why the Milers meets are so good. And things like State 3K as well, because it's really important to get that exposure. We talk about athletes putting themselves out of their comfort zone, not being the big fish in the small pond as they sometimes find themselves, and really just testing themselves. And we can see the live feed coming through there on the board. So 4:03.21, closing Nick McGill in a 62 seconds. Brodie Elborn closed half a second slower, 63.01 with a 4:04.11, and Lachlan Wheeler was the quickest of the last laps there with a 62.54 from Sutherland with his 1500 time there, 4:04.77, which looks like it's going to be a huge personal best. And I think there's a lot of PBs next to the names there in the men's D race.
So into the first of our women's 1500 metre events now. And this will have a sizable field here as well. 16 on the start list as we get ourselves organised. We're just being taken through. Put in line over the back. Introduce them to you once they get underway. So off we go as they get underway. And from the inside out, Hawthorn, Moller, Hines, Howard, Meuch, Axford, Blundell, O'Kelly, Dixon, Miller, Rebecca, Halem, O'Brien, Berringer, Blundell and Chudley. That's the field as they work their way through the first 100 metres, get themselves sorted out. They're still on the outside of lane 2. So
Imogen Howard going to the early lead here from Poppy O'Brien and also Olivia O'Kelly. 7 of the 16 athletes from Sydney Athletics Academy here in this race, and it's Randwick Botany at the front, Imogen Howard, and we'll try and get as many of these athletes as possible under 5 minutes. We're going to need your support here, ladies and gentlemen, so let's make sure we do, particularly over the final laps, really get loud for these athletes. But it's Poppy O'Brien, then Olivia O'Kelly as well, one of the Randwick Botany athletes in there as well, having a good run. Ryan, we've seen a couple of them tonight, and they are in the mix in this one as well as they go through the 400 metres. They're going to be pretty close to probably about 440 tempo, I reckon, as they go through the 400 mark.
76 there or so for the first 400. And see the difference in ages and profiles in this field as well. Lily Axford of Barker's getting a lovely little trail back on the inside, doing absolutely no work and getting the double draft from Poppy O'Brien as well as Isabella Meuch, who's just opened up a little gap at the front of the field. Certainly no snapped rubber bands as yet, but just a gap of 3 or 4 metres, and one of her Randwick compatriots very keen just to close the gap there, as is Barker's Lily Axford. And Axford happy to step out off the rail now and in fact come around the shoulder of Imogen Howard and take up the running as they see 2 laps to go on the boards. And geez, this little chase pack here beyond the top 2 want to get a move on, otherwise this race threatens to open up a fair bit with 700 to run.
So Emily Hallam has been impressive there for Randwick Botany, but Lily Axford, the way she surged and the way how comfortable she made that look was pretty incredible. And she's still, obviously, it's only one part of the story, how you look as opposed to how you feel, but she has got the poker face on right now as she goes down the back straight. The back straight, 15 metres clear, a further 15 metres back. We spoke about it before. Emily Hallam of Randwick Botany still leading a train in behind, none of them wanting to take over the lead as yet and try to reel in the margin that our race leaders have got here. There are 5 athletes in that chase group, as we see.
Yeah, so Axford was 77 the last time around, Howard is 79, as was Halim, and then the others are in the sort of 80-second mark. So it was Axford 77, a couple of seconds quicker, that just put herself into the lead of the race there. Remember, they were 76 the first time around. So it's not so much that she's picked it up, so much as she's maintaining the pace while the others are struggling with that in the middle stages.
Minimal contact time on the ground here. She checks the watch, looks very casual, but it's going to be ramping up as she leans forward and picks up the leg speed as they hit the bell here. Imogen Howard's got a bit of a buffer zone and a new leader in Poppy O'Brien of this chase group, which is still super condensed, and Olivia O'Kelly, Hallam moving the widest there as well. We've got Illawong in there as well in that group, and that's Amelia Berringer, as they start to get a little bit closer for this race for second and third. But Lily Axford, they've got a mountain of work to do to get themselves up to her with 50 metres the margin, as she still looks terrific along the back straight.
Some of the youngsters are having a good little battle for the minors here, all the way out in the outside of lane 2 late in this race, but there's no doubting the winner, Lily Axford of Barker, who came in with a seed time of 4:50, 78 seconds last time around. And again, she's just managed to hold that tempo. They went through 76 the first one, and she's knocked out 77, 78, the athletes behind her into the 81s and the 82s. So again, it's not that she's surged here in the last 800, but she's managed to hold this pace where the others haven't been able to. And she's going to be rewarded with a win in the women's C race here over 1,500 metres. Very strong performance from Lily Axford of Barker, and a good battle going on in behind her for the minors. And that will be taken out by the Sydney Athletics Academy pair of Poppy O'Brien and Olivia O'Kelly. as they sort themselves out now.
Hallam finishing brilliantly. So you see some official results go through. So some consistent laps there, mate. 77s. Like a metronome on the Axford O'Brien with a slightly quicker 1:16, final 400 metres for the 4:53. Howell in third. Sorry, Emily Howell is in third for the 4. No, Olivia Kelly. 1/100th in it. Emily Hallam just being pipped there in 4th position.
So good racing there, and we're getting through them quickly here as we get ready to go in the next of our 1500 metre races, which will be the men's C. We'll then have the women's and men's B, the women's A, and then back for our A800.
It's a festival of middle distance running here tonight. And we've got some incredible races still in store. We've seen some absolute cracking races. Another one, no doubt, to come here next up on the track for the men's C race. As we get underway here in the men's C 1500 metres, Harrison Baxter goes in 1 for Nowra, Sebastian Brasington in 2 from Victoria, Evan Rowbotham in 3 for Randwick Botany, Brett Halls in 4 for Run Crew, Hamish Hunter in 5 for Randwick Botany, Jasper Scamps Magro wearing hip number 6 for UTS Norths, Miles Carson wears number 7 for the Scots College, Joe Hines in 8 for Athletics Wollongong, Cody Sullivan 9 for Kembla Joggers, Will Hayden in 10 for Scots College, Cohen Morgan in 11 for Maitland, Julian Wiley in 12 for Randwick Botany, Corey Deneen in 13 for Sutherland District, Timothy Barnett wears hip number 14, Ben Woodhouse in 15 for Ryde, and Josiah Lowe in 16 for Sutherland, as we see Jasper Scamps Magro go to the early lead with Joe Hines right up there in the early stages, and Josiah Lowe, but in front of him is Corey Deneen.
Yeah, so still a very big field, and you can see how closely bunched they are, even at the back of the pack. A lovely shot there of some of these early leaders as they get themselves sorted out. And it is Jasper Scamps Magro of UTS North, albeit without the kit on at the front. But once again, it's been the story of the night how wide these fields are running down the back straight. They're all the way out the outside of lane 2. This is a proper pack. And you've got Josiah Lowe of Sutherland all the way on the outside. The seed times here all very, very tight, which is a sign of the depth. They're covered by just about 8 seconds for the whole field. So that's why you see them running so closely together. 3:57 is the quickest of them, with Sebastian Breakston, the Victorian, who's made the trip up, and the slowest seed time in the field of 4:05, Cody Sullivan. So that's why you see this pack together. They went 47 for the first time around 1:54 now. So what's that, about a 67 that they've run that time around. And they start to get themselves sorted out now, and we're just starting to see some gaps appear, Brony.
Yeah, so Joe Hines, man at the front of this field. Jasper Scamps Magro is in a really good position. Both the Scots boys are up there as well. You can see moving wide. We've got Brett Halls and Hamish Hunter looking to push up, and Josiah Lowe with a decisive move along the back straight as well. 2:25 on the clock now as we see a couple of athletes check the watch and see how they're tracking. Joe Hines, the best of them there at the moment. And then we've got an absolute cluster of athletes still in contention. A few of the Randwick. We've got 3 Randwick Botanies still in this one. Josiah Lowe just hanging off the back at the moment, just asking himself those internal thoughts. When am I going to go, and how decisive will I make it? And Hamish Hunter from Randwick Botany's moving quite wide as well, looking to push up before they get to the bend. He's doing a good job of that as well. Jasper Scamps Magro in a good position, and very urgent there with Sebastian Brasington, the Victorian, as it starts to get a little bit rocky. As the Scots College athlete there as well in Miles Carson is also in a good position on the rail, but the Victorian, the best mover there in Sebastian Brasington.
He certainly was 65, so quicker in the middle stages of the race, which is unusual for these 1500s. Normally you get a little bit of a dip. Look how wide they're going up the back straight. The moves are coming from everywhere. And Josiah Lowe is leading them up the back all the way on the outside. Still Scamps Magro of North's in control of it, but here comes Josiah Lowe of Sutherland. He makes his move, gets right in tight on Scamps Magro. A bit of shoulder barging there. but with 120 to run, there's still 3 or 4 of them in this. The Scots College athlete running strongly in behind Will Hayden, but Scamps Magro, who's controlled so much of the running, is leading proceedings down the main straight. 50 metres to go. They're trying to shoot at him, led by Lowe and Hayden, but what a well-controlled race by young Scamps Magro, who comes home sub 4 minutes for sure. And he's taken out a highly competitive men's C race in the 1500 metres.
It's almost like they all, there was 3 of them that surged like an identical point around the bend, and they just, in particular Josiah Lowe, he just was putting so much of a surge in, but he couldn't quite lean in. It's like a race car. It's like when we talk about 200 metre athletes rip around that bend and how quickly they can do it and try to actually lean into it. He actually pushed himself, because he put that surge in, actually a little bit to the outside. You see it in 4x400 relays all the time. I found that fascinating in the last 200 metres, but some great racing there, and goes to show how crucial timing and positioning is in these middle distance races.
He just controlled the race, got himself on the front, on the rail, and just controlled proceedings. Confirmation he was the only one that got under 4 minutes there in the C race, 3:59 for Scamps Magro, and again closed in 65. So not a story of going quicker, but more so just managing to hold the pace late in the race. And Scamps Magro gets a well-deserved win as they get ready for the C race in the ladies. No, the B race, pardon me, in the ladies. So they're getting called into their starting places now, and they're just about right to go for the ladies' B race. Run through them quickly. Looks like they're organised, so we'll wait for them to get underway. So off they go in the ladies' B race. Gilligan, Costello, Richards, Alexander, Suk, Gall, Gardner, Brown, Khan, Hargraves, Amir Hall, Miller, Novak, Martin, Ling and Knight. So that's the very, very strong field here in the ladies' B race. Seed times we're looking at here around about the 4:40 mark. So that's the sort of territory we'll be operating in. And as they get themselves sorted out early doors here, a huge pack, the entire field covered by only 5 metres or so. And straight to the front of the field is Eva Gall of Randwick Botany Harriers, but she's got a big field. Alice Ling on her outside, so too is Annabelle Miller. So go through the first 300, about 56, as they get themselves organised.
Yeah, Alice Ling was a very good mover there as they go through 400 metre mark very shortly, and they're going to just be a tick over 4:30 tempo here. So Lucy Alexander looking quite prominent as well. She's tucked in there in about 3rd spot. She starts to try and push up, and a little bit of argy-bargy there along the back straight. For the second time for the girls, they start to string out here and really not trying to put too much lactic in the legs. As Alexander just challenges for this front position. She's on the outside of Ava Gall here of Randwick Botany. It's Randwick Botany and Sutherland leading this field. They've picked it up a little bit. They're stretching and asking a few questions now. They're approaching 150 on the clock now, and Alexander's just trying to stretch it out a little bit more here for these girls as they move into the straight. A wide berth there as well from Jessica Khan, who's been so impressive over the last 12 months, the junior, on her home track as she makes her ways up to the heels of Alexander. Then it's back to Alice Ling.
Ruth Costello also happy to go very wide to 11. So it's about a 75 here for the second lap of this women's B race. And the field now starting to get obviously more strung out than it was the first time around, which you'd expect. You mentioned Jess Khan's season so far, and it has been particularly impressive. See a coach on Carl Music there, monitoring proceedings up on the back straight. Ash Gardner of Kembla Joggers now moves out wide in the run, and she's a similarly impressive junior who's been having a good season to date. So Alexander, Khan and Gardner, the most prominent of them at the moment. Ruth Costello, I mentioned her up the front straight the last time around. She got shuffled back early in the run, but now has put herself up into the leading half dozen, but has had to go the wide way around to do it. And Jess Khan and Ash Gardner now find themselves at the front of the field.
Yeah, Gardner moving well. Khan just behind at the moment. Ruth Costello still hanging in there and looking like she belongs right at the pointy end of this field in the top three. So Gardner presses ahead now. Can anyone respond here as they collect the bell? With Jessica Khan next up and Ruth Costello, followed then by Amelia Knight. Then we go back to Ava Gall, who was right up there early, still not giving up the fight. Annabelle Miller as well. Trying to move up to our race leaders here, but now she's put in maybe 6 or 7 metres, Ashley Gardner, on the chase group. Led still by Jessica Khan of Bankstown Sports with 300 metres to go. That trio doesn't look like they're going to be separated anytime soon, as Ruth Costello absolutely rips and tears with 250 to go.
So Gardner in control at the front. Khan looked to be going the best of them 100 metres ago, but Ruth Costello now has put herself into a great position. Ling still running strongly as well. But Gardner out the front only looks to have one real danger for the win here in the women's B race. And it could be an important win with an Albie Thomas Australian Mile Championship start in the offing just a month from now. This isn't over yet. Gardner's starting to tie up a bit. Costello shoots wide. Shuffled back so early in the race, but Costello to the front. Ling's coming too for Hornsby. Ruth Costello is going to hang on, and a very well-timed big dive at the line. Oh, I got her! Got her, I reckon. Eva Gall, wait for the photo.
Oh, God.
But what a close. The last 20 metres come from the clouds. She's got her. Eva Gall, 4:39.76. A tenth over Ruth Costello. It was over with 20 to go. It was done.
It was done.
And then it wasn't.
Then it wasn't.
What a win.
Unbelievable.
It's the best race of the night. I don't know how she did that, Ava Gall, but do not ever give up. It is not over till it's over. And what was her last lap? 1:11 there. That was the quickest, I think. So 71 seconds. Quickest of all the 3 3/4 laps there for the women's B race. And she was up there early. She looked to have faded. She got a second win and more. The last 100 metres.
So we're racing through them now into the business end of proceedings. Just about right to go in what should be a cracker of a men's B race. I mean, it's a massive field in the A race, but this B race is very, very strong in and of itself. And they're just about right to go. We'll leave them in the hands of the starter and introduce you to them as they get underway. So off they go from the inside out. Cam Gorman, Jaden Gill, Lockie Townsend, Braden Everett, Ollie Neat, Zach Johnson, William Dybel, Alex Talbot, Harry Helene, Ben Bishop, Josh O'Connell, Isaac Holberton, Travis Fairweather, Harrison Phillips, Scotty Hamilton and Adam Brunch. And look at this field. They're in the outside of lane 3 as they go through the first 150 metres and sort themselves out. Photographers are running around to get in position, but getting himself into the leading position here is Ollie Neat of Randwick Botany in this B race.
It's going to be a lot of bragging rights up for grabs in this one. And Travis Fairweather, Bankstown Sports, also in a good place. Zach Johnson sitting in second, Jaden Gill. Then we go back to Alex Talbot in there as well. Lockie Townsend well placed, William Dybel in there. And Isaac Holberton, I think that's Western Creek there. A couple of ACT athletes. We've seen a Victorian already. Ollie Need, he always looks so controlled. He always looks so calm. They go through the 400, about 62 seconds. So the pace is honest, but all the boys in the mix with this one. A couple of movers and shakers from the back of this pack and move themselves up in the middle third.
So these athletes are all around the sort of 3:50 to 4 minute mark, and some of them are stiff just to miss out on, to be fair, what is a very big field for this A race and what should be a quick train. But these guys will be looking to demonstrate why they should be in A and B races come the Albie Thomas a month from now. And you can see just how competitive this B race is. We're 500 metres in, third of the way through, and they are all together as a block. The widest of them, Lockie Townsend, Sydney University, and he actually shuffles out now as he tries to put himself up a little bit more prominently. They were 46 last time around, that was a 65 as they run through this B race.
Yeah, so Ollie Neat, Zach Johnson still in a good position, Travis Fairweather, Jaden Gill looking dangerous too, Alex Talbot, he's been in here the whole race, Isaac Holberton as well, who we talked about. I think he's one of our ACT visitors, but Oliver Neat is not willing to give up the pace at the moment. As we say, that looks like Johnson and Gill's right up there. They're still compressed. The slightest of gaps back to Lockie Townsend. It is nothing, but it's only a couple of strides, but it may be enough if they do time the surge right to try and really put the lactic into the athletes out in front. But it's Zach Johnson for the first time taking the lead from the Randwick Botany man, Ollie Neats, and Jaden Gill on his right shoulder, waiting for his moment to strike. He has got a lethal kick. When will he use it?
So they were bang on 240 as they went through the 1,000 metres. As on Johnson controls proceedings as they pick up the bell with 2:54 on the clock. And they are just still positioning and jockeying a bit here as they run through with 300 metres to run. The move starting to come in behind Johnson, but no one up on his shoulder yet. Starting to get strung out a bit more now. Jaden Gill, Johnson's run crew teammate, looks to be the biggest threat. They're leaving the rail open for Ollie Neat and Lockie Townsend, and also Alex Talbot looking to sneak up on the inside, but it's the run crew pair at the front. Johnson, Gill and Talbot. That's the leading group of three. Townsend trying to box on strongly in behind them, but with 120 to run, it's a battle of the All Blacks between Johnson and Gill. Talbot trying to make himself important and looks to thread the needle, now has to go wide. Gill hits the front with 60 to run. Talbot hasn't given up. Johnson's gone, but Jaden Gill, too good for them in the B, comes home, wins it in 3:51 or 2. That's a good sign of times to come.
And another race where you thought a couple were down and out, came straight back into that one, but what a run. Jaden Gill, we know how good his finishing kick is, and he saved it right till the end to absolutely blitz them with a last lap of 57 seconds. Alex Talbot with a 3:52.79. Jaden's time 3:52.10. Zach Johnson, a great run there from him with a 59 last lap as well. 3:53.28. Braden Everett, who's a man very good in his age group in any New South Wales Championship junior race, and 3:54.14 for him, and he had a strong last lap too, 58 seconds for Newcastle Flyers in fourth. What a race for the men's, the 1,500 metres.
So just 2 to go at the 1,500. I'm going to duck back over here for an 8. But the women's A race is on the start line, and we'll introduce them as they get underway. So off they go in this women's 1,500. Matilda Emmanuel Mead, Tui, Amelia May, Ruby McPhillips, Sienna Scale, Claire Solomon, Lily Winwood, Sarah Baker, Claire Spicknell, Paola Longshot, Claudia Maker, Laura Roth, the former Australian 800 metre champion, Katja Bjorkman, Leva Gulang, Jayla Hancock Cameron, the Youth Olympic silver medalist, Philippa Quarrell and Piper Simpson at some sort of A race here at the Milers as we get into the very business end of this domestic season. And straight to the front of the field in a change, really, it must be said, is Sarah Baker of West, the 420 athlete. Usually Hancock Cameron likes to do the front running, so I suspect she won't mind here having someone come around her and be happy to take some of the leading duties themselves. With Hancock Cameron so often having to do it herself, but Brainy, this is already stringing out in the early stages. The pace is on.
Yeah, we'll see what Piper Simpson does here. She's in third spot, whether she tries to make her way up to Hancock Cameron, only 5 or 6 metres up the track, but Hancock Cameron not leaving any more than a metre on Sarah Baker, who has had another junior athlete who's had such an impressive build in the last 12 months as she tries to get herself into some big races, and a performance tonight might well and truly do that. We'll see what she's able to do. I know Jayla will want to go round at some point. It's not a matter of if but when, and these two looks like it will be a race in two as they extend a lot now on the chase group.
It'll be a telling performance here for Hancock Cameron tonight because, as mentioned earlier in the call, had that really impressive 2:02 in Adelaide at 800 metres and then was entitled to be a little bit flat as she went out in Melbourne. And just looking at this now, maybe Baker's doing a pace job here actually, and that they're either working together, but you don't just ease into the outside of lane one and let an athlete of the calibre of Jayla Hancock Cameron slip underneath you. So this is either pre-coordinated or a pace job from Baker, or an agreement to share the load, but they're going to go through 800 metres here in about 2:16, so that gives you an idea of just how quick this is moving along now, and Baker has indeed pulled out. So Hancock Cameron is looking to lay down a marker here at 1,500 metres ahead of the real business end of the domestic season. She's still in her very early years as an open athlete, and she had a bit of a graduation day a couple of weeks ago in Adelaide at 2:02. We're about to find out what sort of shape she's in over the metric mile.
And we've got a great contest on for second and third too. It is really condensed there. Claire Solomon in there with Piper Simpson, as we saw, who was ahead but then got swallowed up by the main group in there as well. But Jayla Hancock Cameron, ladies and gentlemen, on her home track with 420 metres to go, goes through in a 3:05. How quickly can she close over the final 400? Let's get behind her as we see Mia Tui go into second. It's starting to open up now. Sienna Scale hot on her heels, 10 metres. Back to Claire Solomon. Then behind her is Amelia May. We go back to Claudia Mika. On her heels is Matilda Emanuel, and the rest of the girls hanging tough here over the final 400. But Hancock Cameron, the leg speed still up here. 3:30 on the clock with 250 to run in the women's 1500.
Good race going on in behind her for second position. Mia Tui of Sutherland has got the better of them at the moment, but Hancock Cameron has opened up a gap of almost 80 metres here, and she's swinging around into the straight for the last time with all eyes on the clock. We're just ticking through up to around about 4 minutes now. There's a reasonable chance this will be sub 4:20 with only a bit of work, help from Sarah Baker early doors. 2:02 in Adelaide for the 800. The questions were, is she now a half miler? But she's going to come home here and lay down a mark of things to come. She can do the half mile, she can do the metric mile. 4:14 for Jayla Hancock Cameron, with more competitive fields to come, but a very worthy assist from Sarah Baker. And the race for second is going to be resolved with Sienna Scale of Newcastle just getting the better of Mia Tui. 4:16.43, pardon me, 4:14.63 for Hancock Cameron, unofficial. And Brainy, that's a pretty good sign of things to come in this domestic season for Jayla Hancock Cameron.
She's been so impressive, and she's hung around and really been consistent. Staying injury free is such a tough thing to do at this level, and trying to find that extra 1%. She's been able to do that. She's taken a lot of confidence from that Adelaide run with some incredible athletes in there in the depth we know is almost unprecedented. Well, it is unprecedented women's 800 metre running in Australia. Sienna Scable had a great last lap there with a 68 seconds, and Mia Tui just couldn't quite get her in the end. Her time 4:26.04. Claudia Mika was in fourth with 4:29.43 for the Balmain Athletics Club. So a terrific race and great quality field here for the women's 1500 metre A race, with a couple of the main events still to come. Make sure you stick around here. We're having a look now on the board for the men's. Sorry, we'll look shortly at the women's 800 metres A race, which is coming up in about 5 minutes' time. The next event on the track, and a cracking night so far. Some incredible races at the New South Wales Milers Series at the Crest in Bankstown.
So there's the field for the women's 800 metre A race as we just move things around here. And we talked about this earlier in the program. It looks to be a cracking lineup here. Headlined by Matilda Ryan, who draws the inside, and Laura Roff, the former Australian champion at this distance. Cheyenne Murray, Athletics Wollongong, will run out of position number 3. Davina Smith for Sutherland in 4. Fleur Cooper, UTS Norths in 5. Taissa Buchanan of Athletics Wollongong in her outside in 6. Tia Brady of the Newcastle Runners in 7. Ava Norate and Tasha Ward, both of Sutherland, in 8 and 9. And Annalise Blackman of the Blue Mountains in 10. Some sort of 800A field here at the Milers.
Sure is, and talked about Sarah Baker. She's had some great battles with Fleur Cooper in junior racing and all schools racing over the years, and she starts with the quickest seed time here. But Taissa Buchanan, another one to watch. She'll start and draw right next to her. 3 Sutherland, Blue Mountains Newcastle Runners, 2 UTS Norths, and 2 Athletics Wollongong. Remy Botany representing this women's 800 metre A race field.
So just for those here in the stadium, if you're over on the back straight, we just need you off the track for this 800. Once the 1500 gets underway, you're more than welcome to come onto the track once they're underway, but for this 800 we need you right off the track. For those here in the crowd, you're more than welcome to come out of the grandstands. The main straight is set up for you to come out onto the track. Just do so at the gate about halfway up the main straight. We want to see this crowd out on the track for our main events of the evening. This women's 800, and then back over to watch one of the best men's 1500 fields ever assembled in Australia.
I think the qualifiers 4:27 and maybe 4:24.
You're very welcome to come out and get trackside, watch the former world champion up close and personal.
Scarhill number 5 and we're Tui number 2.
Just a brief break in proceedings here while we get ready for this women's 800 metre A race.
That's what it looked like. That's what it looked like.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, do encourage you to get down to the track in the best seat in the house for one of the main events of the night here, the Women's Open 800 metres A race about to get underway. Matilda Ryan will start in lane number 1 for UTS Norths. In lane 2 from Remick Botany, Laura Roth. In lane 3, Athletics Wollongong, Cheyenne Murray. In lane 4, representing Sutherland, Davina Smith. In lane 5 from UTS Norths, Fleur Cooper. In lane 7 from Newcastle Runners, Tia Brady. In 8 from Sutherland District, Ava Honore. In 9 for Sutherland District, Natasha Ward. In number 10 from Blue Mountains, Annalise Blattman. The field for the women's open 800 metres.
On your marks.
So away, I tell you what, Laura Roth got away really well. So it's Ryan, Roth, Murray, Smith, Cooper, Brady, Honore, Ward and Blattman on the outside as they work their way, and I think Roth is the one who wants to take the early lead here. Up on the inside, Matilda Ryan, though, is really starting to be aggressive there as well. And Cheyenne Murray up there. It's very spread out. Davina Smith is in 4th at the moment, but she's determined to get up to our leading 3 through the 200 metres in about 27 seconds here. But Roth is absolutely charging through, followed by Ryan, then back to Davina Smith. Moving wide, the other Sutherland athlete, Ava Honore there. Natasha Ward trying to hang in touch as well. A couple of gaps, but nothing drastic at this point.
So exactly what we thought. Battle of the heavyweights out the front. Laura Roth is the former Australian champion over the half mile. Matilda Ryan, a 2-time winner of the 800 on Albie Thomas night here at this track. And the big guns are right at the front. Davina Smith of Sutherland boxing on beautifully into the smallest of gaps, starting to open to Cheyenne Murray. They're about 61 seconds through the bell, so the pace is on here, and the former Australian champion dictates proceedings. Gap of about a metre back to Ryan, and Davina Smith just starting to fade a little bit, but as they head into the back straight for the last time, it's the 2 that we thought out the front. This is a marker of things to come for the rest of this season. Roth from Ryan.
So Roth now starts to try and turn the screws here. She's not going to have it all her own way. Matilda Ryan comfortably works her way up to the back. They all look like they are not said and done, but Davina Smith is starting to put the foot down as well. 20 metres is the distance. Matilda Ryan's got another gear after, I reckon. I reckon she's got a chance. Laura Roth on the front. She's led for the most part of this race. 100 metres to go. Get down to the straight. 150 on the clock as Ryan goes to the outside here, challenging Roth. Roth from Remick Botany and Ryan. Matilda Ryan, will she get there? She's edging ahead. She's done enough and she's timed to perfection. Brilliant form, and what a finish by Fleur Cooper as well to get through in 3rd. That was a great race. Davina Smith hanging through there, followed by Cheyenne Murray, Ava Honore, Tia Brady, and then Natasha Ward, followed by Annalise Blattman to round out the field. But that was a terrific run by Matilda Ryan. Just hung, and it is so hard sometimes to stay that patient and to know when to go and not go too early and back that finishing and closing speed.
Yeah, to be fair, she ran a tactically beautiful race behind Laura Roth, but also had a great bunny in Roth. Confirmation is quick, 2:05.44 for Matilda Ryan. Laura Roth will be very happy with a 2:05.9. Back into racing form for her, and Fleur Cooper 2:07.05 3rd over the line as we get ready for the domestic season proper. And Tilly Ryan looking good to perhaps win a 3rd 800 metres at the Albie Thomas about a month from now. So the starters will move back over.
Fleur Cooper, mate. I think she's got a qualified up there.
So Fleur Cooper's time as well.
So I think that's another World Junior qualifier for Fleur Cooper as well. Plenty of athletes have set that mark this season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so Taese Buchanan, the fastest of those World Under 20 qualifiers with 2:06.02, but that'll put Fleur right up in the mix for those championships later on this year.
So this is what we've been waiting for, folks. The men's 1500 metre A race.
Get excited. Get yourself down to the track, whether it's the back straight, you can run across the field, get to the home straight, see if you can beat them there, run back and forth 3 or 4 times, because this is set to be an absolute cracker. The 2022 World Champion in this distance. Jake Whiteman spearheads his field, but Cameron Myers, we are super excited to see what he can produce here tonight, Matt.
Certainly are. It's arguably the best field ever assembled in New South Wales outside of an Olympic Games. The number of sub-4 milers in this field is exceptional. They're going to line up on 2 rows, which is why it's such a big field. So let's run through them. So from the inside out, Adam Pike of Bankstown coming out of Victoria. Ben Thomas of Randwick Botany Harriers in position number 2. Connor Whiteley of the All Whites of Sydney University in 3. The reigning Australian 1500 metre champion from Queensland, Callum Davies, goes in position number 4. Matt Ramsden of Western Australia, multiple-time Australian representative in 5. Jesse Hunt of the on-running team out of Victoria in 6. Ryoji Tadzawa of Japan, a sub-4 miler in his own right, in position number 7. Paul Robinson of Ireland in 8. Jai Edwards, former Australian champion at the 1500 metres, a sub-350 miler for Bankstown, goes in position number 9. The fastest 17-year-old of all time, Cameron Myers, and one of the 3 Australians who already has an Olympic qualifying standard in the period, goes for Bankstown in position number 10. For Great Britain in 11 is the training partner of the former world champion, Tom Keane, and in position number 12, please welcome him to Australia, Sydney and the Crest, the 2022 world champion from Great Britain, Jake Whiteman. And doing the pacing duties is Charlie Hunter of West, who of course went around the 800 early tonight, and a late addition, Obsi Yusuf of Sydney University, who's also going to help with the pacing. And on our second row from Kembla Joggers, we have Tom March in 16 for run crew. Ben Jagger, Tom Davies sits on the outside of them for Sydney University. Cam Musgrove, the independent, in 18. Harrison McGill for Bankstown in 19. Stefan Music goes on their outside. And he has Ethan Wyatt-Smith of Bankstown and Luke Young for company. Every athlete in this field is a sub-350 1500 metre athlete, and they're just getting their final instructions over on the far side of the track now. Brady, it's going to be an absolute cracker.
Feels like you've just introduced the field for the Australian Championship final with some high-quality internationals, which will definitely add an incredible dynamic to this race. So we're ready to go. The scene is set. It's a New South Wales Milers meet, but it's the best quality we've ever seen here at the Crest, and the best quality field we've seen in Australia over 1500 metres for quite some time. Just about to go in the men's 1500. So 3:33.5 is the Olympic qualifier. Let's keep a very close eye on the tempo. We'll let you know how they're tracking here as they work their way to the front. Obsi Yusuf, one of the key pacemakers here, is moving himself through as the crowd charges across to the home straight. Let's make it one to remember for them. And Charlie Hunter up there as well. He's staying wide, and we'll see what tempo they can go through. Whiteman wide up there. Ben Thomas, the promising junior, who's well placed at the moment as they start to sort themselves out here. This positioning is so crucial in the early stages. Jai Edwards is right up there as well here. Thomas Keane from Great Britain in a good position as well as they go through in 41 seconds.
So bang on, we're looking for 56 through the first 400 metres to be on that Olympic qualifying standard. Absolutely no dramas with the big field at the start. Everyone knew their job. As you see the crowd streak across to the back straight. It's a massive crowd here at the Crest, and Obsi Yusuf backing up from the 800 earlier tonight along with Charlie Hunter. They're doing the pacing duties. 56 we were looking for at the first 400, and they hit that bang on. And the train now is chugging along, single file down the back straight at the crest. Yusuf from Hunter, Whiteman, the 17-year-old Myers on his back, and then Jesse Hunt from On Running, the Victorian who's made his way up to compete in this field. Jai Edwards getting a nice little sit on the outside. Remember that famous race at Sydney Olympic Park Athletic Centre, and he still holds the fastest time ever run in Australia by an Australian from that performance. A lovely shot of the train up the back straight. 800 metres to go. And they're coming along now. Yusuf steps wide, hands over the pacing duties to Hunter, and Whiteman and Myers sitting poised as we head up to 800. We're looking for 153 as they go through the 700 metre mark, and they're going to be bang on the Olympic qualifying standard pace here.
The Pacers are absolutely killing it here. They're doing their job to an absolute T as Charlie Hunter moves forward. Connor Whiteley presses forward as well, and Whiteman in a good place. Cameron Myers always looks so comfortable, and he is right up there here. Can he challenge the 2022 world champion here tonight? Jesse Hunt, the Victorian, is in a good place as well, and the man from Randwick Botany here. So this is going to be a great race. They started to maybe back it off ever so slightly here as they work their way into the home straight, with Jake Whiteman to the front, Myers moving wide, Jai Edwards in there as well. And how good does he look? Ramsden's still in the mix, Whiteley pushing up, and in front of those is Callum Davies, the national champion.
Here's the bell, 400 metres to run. 250 is the time we're looking for the Olympic qualifying standard through the 300 metres mark. They're going to be maybe just a tick outside that, but how quickly can they close? The former world champion at the front of the field, but the teenager's not waiting. Myers goes wide and hits the front with 250 to go. Jesse Hunt and Jai Edwards on the outside. The training partners are making their way to the front, but the 17-year-old prodigy, Cam Myers, here comes Whiteman, hasn't given it up yet. Round the shoulder of Hunt. Edwards trying to box on as well. 100 metres to run here at the crest. The standard's on. They swing into the straight. It's the 17-year-old and the world champion. Jai Edwards down the outside. Myers extends. The 17-year-old is going to scalp them all here and potentially run the standard. Myers wins it. Jesse Hunt second, then Whiteman up for third. All eyes on the clock. The time we're looking for, 3:33.5. 3:33.3. It's another Olympic qualifier for Cam Myers. It is the fastest time ever run in Australia by an Australian. And Cam Myers, he's already had so many graduation days, but boy oh boy has he announced himself ahead of this domestic season, Brady.
He's announced himself so many times in the last 12 months. We know Jesse Hunt was just outside at 3:33.64. What an incredible run by him as well. Let's take nothing. And Jake Whiteman there, 3:34.31. They were one of the very, very few athletes to ever beat the great Jacob Ingebrigtsen. But Cameron Myers, we know he's the fastest and one of the youngest we've ever seen over the mile and the metric mile. And here tonight, he's absolutely put a show on for the huge crowd who've been absolutely wowed. And have a look at them flock to him. We can't even get the cameras on the man. He's that popular.
So remember, coming into this race, Jai Edwards at the Australian Championship in 2021 when he beat Stewie McSwain, maybe the best domestic race we've ever seen in Australia. He was the fastest time that's ever been run by an Australian in Australia at 3:33.99. We've had two Australians go under that tonight, with Cam Myers 3:33.3, just a casual 55.5 close if you don't mind. Jesse Hunt from Victoria 3:33.64, under that previous mark of Edwards. And by the way, how's the return on Jai Edwards? He's had so many problems with his Achilles. He's back now, 3:34.42, and Callum Davies, the Australian champion, has to settle for fifth, but I don't think he'll mind a 3:35.
And Connor Whiteley as well, 3:36.19, an incredible breakthrough run for him as well. He closed in a 57.09. It is super great to see Jai back. The depth has been raised again. We know we've got 6 or 7 athletes in contention for that Olympic selection. Jesse Hunt's just added himself into the mix here. He's beaten the 2022 world champion. Jai Edwards was only a tenth of a second behind him, and Callum Davies, as you said, so for the national champion to come fifth here, and for Connor Whiteley, We know he's been gaining, and it goes to show what confidence can do as well. And get your selfies out, get your club kits out, everyone, because Cam Myers is looking to sign them, and he is the most popular man, one of the most popular men in world athletics, not just Australian athletics right now, and for very good reason. He's such a humble young man, and he's also got a head on his shoulders. He's very switched on. He knows his training methods, and he's all over it. Got a great appreciation and respect for the history of the sport and those who've come before him and made the 1500 metres event and the mile famous in Australian athletics. So what a race, and what a privilege it has been to see one of the best fields ever assembled in Australia. Cameron Myers getting the better of it here, but we cannot forget the feats of Jesse Hunt, Jake Whiteman, Joe Edwards, Callum Davies. They're your top five, the top five inside 3:36, and Connor Whiteley with sixth with a 3:36.
So Jesse Hunt's a bit stiff, isn't he? He's 1400ths outside the automatic Olympic qualifying standard. Not that I think that we're going to be restricted to 3 of those in Australia by the time the domestic season's done, and indeed by the time the international Northern Hemisphere summer is done. But it's some sort of performance here at the Crest tonight. It was all about the Olympic qualifying standard. Jake Whiteman said, "I'm not leaving Australia without it." Unfortunately, he's going to have to.
Got himself in the right place, found himself at the front a bit there, and just perfect conditions, but
we have to remember he's had so much time off as well. So he's returning to racing. You know, you don't get to be world champion and scalp Jakob Ingebrigtsen without ability. He'll be at the Olympic Games.
There's a couple in that position as well, because Ollie Hoare as well, he's on the comeback trail too and trying to get himself fit. I believe he'll be back for the National Championships in Adelaide in April, so he's another one, and obviously with major games experience at the top of the podium, he'll be one to definitely watch as well to add to that list. But 3 under the qualifier. Cameron Myers adds his second Olympic qualifying standard here tonight at the Crest.
Well, it's hard to see how he doesn't go to the games. I mean, I'm not a selector, but it's not the last standard he's going to run, and when we eventually get to the point of...
we'll have to get Dave Tarb on it as well to do the stats on how many athletes have been to a World Under-20 Championships and Olympic Games in the same year.
I'm not sure what's happening here on the camera. We're getting some sort of replay of somebody's phone, so thanks for that. But I mean, from a selection standpoint, you just have to take it. We will wrap up the stream and wrap up the commentary here at the Miles. We might see if we can get with Cam once the crowd starts mobbing in.
Yeah, we might be here for another 30 minutes.
But for everyone here at the Crest, for those watching at home, thanks very much for joining us.